welcome to another vlog. This is my Shakespeare vlog for the All the World's a Page Readathon. I am so excited for this Readathon. It lasts the whole month of April, and even though it is themed, the theme is Shakespeare, I like that you don't have to actually read Shakespeare or anything connected to Shakespeare. You can read whatever you want. Because I'm obsessed with Shakespeare, I do want to read Shakespeare for this and kind of books related to Shakespeare. So first of all, I have two plays. I have Macbeth, which I don't remember if I read it or not. I definitely saw it several times, so I'm very familiar with it, but I don't think I ever actually read the text. So very excited about this one. I also have Julius Caesar, which is one of my favorite plays. I read it when I was in theater school because I think there were two monologues that we did from it. But it's been a while, and back then I don't think I paid enough attention to the text outside of the scenes from which the monologues were from. So I really want to reread this. I'm very excited about this one. And then I have two books from the Hogarth Shakespeare series. This is a project where they commissioned popular authors, contemporary authors, to write like a retelling of a Shakespeare play. I actually don't know if they were assigned a play or they got to choose the plays that they wanted. There are a bunch of authors, a bunch of books, but the ones that I was most interested in were Hag-Seed by Margaret Atwood. This is a retelling of The Tempest, which I read just last year. Oops. So as this is still kind of fresh in my mind, I'm very excited to get to this one. And then there's Macbeth by Hugh Nesbo, the popular Norwegian thriller author. Yes, I did already read it, and I can't wait to tell you my thoughts. Apart from these books, I also have to like reference Shakespeare books. I never finished, but they're not books that you kind of read from cover to cover, so it's fine. First is Theatre of Envy. I love the concept and I love this book. I read several parts of it. What it does, it sort of breaks down popular monologues or particular characters in plays, and it doesn't break them down, it breaks down their motivation and kind of looks at their behavior in a new way, connecting it to the people around them. Basically, the theory is that we're all motivated by envy of something that people around us have, and so looking through this lens, he analyzes the, again, characters or specific monologues from plays. And how did I start that sentence? The ones that I've read were very interesting and I really enjoyed, but since I've not read all plays and I'm not super familiar with all of them, I did not read the parts about the characters from plays I've not read because that would not make sense to me. Since I'm reading Macbeth and Julius Caesar, I will check out the Macbeth and Julius Caesar parts in this book. And then I have Speaking Shakespeare, which is actually a book that I've been meaning to go back to because I need it for my job. And this is very much a book for actors who are working with Shakespeare, with his material, with his words, and it helps them understand how to approach the text better, and it goes into like very technical things with breath and vowels and consonants and rhythm, and I absolutely adore everything about this. And as I said, I need this for my job. One of the things I do is teach public speaking, which, well, we call it public speaking, but actually it's people who just come in and want to feel more confident, or people who feel like they speak too quietly, and those who don't feel comfortable speaking out. So a lot of this work I do with my students, and in the past I have read parts of it. I can see things highlighted. This highlighter was not working properly. You can barely see it, but I never actually finished it. I always stopped at a certain point and then moved on. So I kind of need to rediscover this book for me. I also have a buddy read with my friend Vanya. We're reading the Japanese novel The Miracles of the Namiya General Store by Kigo Higashino. I'm very excited about this book, and these are all my like fixed plans for this readathon, the books that I want to get to, not necessarily finish, because I don't think I will finish these two. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this vlog. Hello, it is Sunday, April 3rd. I'm late for work. It is winter outside. There's so much snow outside, which for some reason is not depressing me today. It was really upsetting me yesterday, but today I'm fine with it. Hello, I am back from work and I'm finally ready to talk to you about Macbeth by Julius Caesar. I started reading it before April. I decided to cheat a little bit because this is 600 pages, and I finished my TBR for March a little early, and I thought I would just start on it because there's no way I can read 600 pages super fast. It actually went pretty fast, I think, partly because this is a thriller and things happen very fast, and also because I was really not enjoying it and I wanted to be done with it. The thing that actually kept me from DNFing this book was the Shakespeare part of it. The references, and I was curious to see how he would handle things, how he would turn some of the scenes from the original Macbeth in this narrative, in this world, and how he would explain some things and all this. So I was curious about the actual like my Macbeth retelling, but I did not like this book. I actually just wrote down some notes because I need help talking about this book because there's so much I want to say and I don't want this to be super long. The retelling of Macbeth by Julius Caesar is set in the 70s, which I didn't know until I read like a review on Goodreads. It's never explicitly mentioned in the book, and I didn't even think about what year it is until I saw that review, and it made sense because yeah, they're not using cell phones. That's right. So this is very much a book about manly men being manly and violent and killing each other and wanting power, which, you know, whatever, but it does read like a novel that was written in the 70s based on the language they use, based on the way women are written and used in this book. I don't think Julius Caesar likes women based on how he writes them. We'll talk about that later. So the way it is reimagined, it is all happening in one town. I kept actually picturing Gotham from Batman because it's kind of the same vibe. It's a big city that is very corrupt. There's mass unemployment. There's a very big drug market, and it's always raining and dark and people are not happy and there's inflation, and it's just not a, it's a very miserable place to be. And Macbeth in the beginning is the head of the SWAT team in the police force. And the whole like power struggle, everything that's happening is happening within the police force. And Duncan, who is in the play the king in the beginning, in this retelling he's the police commissioner. Lady Macbeth is not actually his wife in the book. She is I don't want to say girlfriend, but kind of, yeah, his girlfriend, and she owns a luxurious casino. Hag-Seed, which is the goddess of the witches in the play, is an elderly man who is kind of like a drug mob lord. He created a drug which is called the brew, and it's made in an actual cauldron, and the whole town is addicted to this drug, and he basically controls the whole system because he is that powerful, which I kind of hated that they turned the goddess of the witches into an elderly white man, but whatever. In this world there are no first names, last names, they all have just like one name. So Macbeth is just Macbeth, Lady Macbeth is just Lady that's like her name. That's the way everyone refers to her, is just lady. Macduff for some reason is just Duff, which was a little bizarre in the beginning, but then I got used to it. Another thing that if you read this in English, you probably will not notice, but as I was reading this in Russian, translated from Norwegian, I thought this was very bizarre. The whole time, the language is always informal, like the whole time. There was just, I think, one person, I think Hag-Seed was the only one actually who was given the formal address. I think so. Everyone else was informal with each other, which again, if you're a native English speaker, you don't understand how bizarre that is. All these like heads of police units talk to each other informally. It was just very confusing because, you know, the address thing, the formal informal, helps you understand what the relationship is like between these two characters, and you were robbed of that. They were just all informal. We're all close friends. The things that I didn't like about the narrative, things moved very fast, and I understand that in the play they move fast, but if you're writing a 600-page book when the plot is happening in modern times, would it make sense for things to move that quickly? Macbeth had like one conversation, it was barely a conversation, by the way, with Lady, and then he was just like, yeah, let's kill everyone. He shifted so fast, and it just didn't feel right. I didn't believe the things that were happening, if that makes sense. Also, a big part of Macbeth's descent into madness is attributed to his drug addiction, which I understand, though I do think it's a cheap move. It's a cheap move, UNESCO. And again, it was just too fast. Also because in this book, Macbeth is said to have been a drug addict in the past, but he's been clean for years. And in the beginning of the book, he's clean. He's not at all tempted or anything. But then at one point he just goes back to drugs. Correct me if I'm wrong. If a person is clean for many, many, many years and then they decide to go back to it, it's not a casual thing. It's not a casual decision. It was just never discussed. It was never discussed in the book. He just started using again and that's it. And I feel like it should have been a bigger thing, right? It's a big thing. Also, if you're in any way triggered by drugs and needles, don't read this book because there's a lot of people taking drugs in this book. By like the 400-page mark, I was just tired of it. I was tired of the world. I was tired of the atmosphere. The atmosphere is very strong, yes, but I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in this terrible city with these terrible people, and it's 600 pages long. You know, all the things I mentioned before are things I personally just didn't like. I thought it was too fast. I didn't like how drugs were used, like all of those things. And I feel like other people may have a different opinion, but here are things that I think should be universally an issue for everyone about this book. Oh, remember the witches in Macbeth? You know what UNESCO decided to do with the witches? Well, one of them is a transvestite. That word is used a lot. And all the descriptions about her could basically be boiled down to the word disgusting. Like, everything about her is disgusting. Reading that was not cool. And the other two witches are sisters who are described as very, 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 very ugly Asian women. And it's just like, why did they have to be Asian? And like, yeah, in the play, the witches are not like attractive young women, they are sinister. But the fact that UNESCO decided to cast a trans person as one of those disgusting witches, and the other two were of a different race than everyone else in the play, it was just alarming to me. Just in general, there's so much misogyny in this book. There are very few women, and those women that are present are either super ugly and disgusting, or they're very sexualized, like overly sexualized, the way they're described and everything. There's like one woman in the whole police force that is mentioned, and in the beginning I was just like, oh, yay, like that character in the play is male, and I was just like, okay, you added a female character, cool, good for you. But no, she is a lover of someone in the book, and her being a sexual partner of one of the other characters was basically her whole role, and yeah, not a fan of that. And like there was a thing with Lady when they were talking about how she has an incredible mind and how it's very hard to love a woman that smart, because, you know, we like them dumb. Then there was a discussion about how men are the brains and women are the hearts, and that's why they go so well together, because the brains need a heart nearby and the heart needs a brain to, you know, to guide it. And this is just some of the things that I remembered about this book that I did not like, but I feel like it's enough. Don't read this book. Ugh. And what I'm doing now is reading the actual play Macbeth, which I'm really enjoying, but I do have to say it's a little tainted now from my experience with that other book. But after I'm done with the play, I will be watching the movie The Tragedy of Macbeth that was made by Apple. And I'm very excited about that movie. It looks very cool. It's all black and white, and yeah, I hope it goes well.
Stumbling home, we don't know where we're going. Should've turned back hours ago. Out of our minds, I guess we're sleeping outside.
In terms of music and covers that I usually do on my vlogs, I thought it would be fun to do covers of songs that remind me of Shakespeare or of a specific play. There is a song that always makes me think of Macbeth, that is A Little Wicked by Valerie Brussard.
No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. Beware the patient woman, 'cause this much I know. No one calls you honey when you're sitting on a throne. One of these days are coming, I'm gonna take that boy's crown. There's a serpent in these still waters, lying deep down. To the king I will bow, at least for now. 'Cause one of these days are coming, I'm gonna take that boy's crown. 'Cause I am a little wicked, I am, oh, hands red, just like he said, I am a little wicked.
Me and my sister started watching The Tragedy of Macbeth, the movie, the Apple movie. We watched like half of it. We still have another half to finish, and it's pretty good. The actors are amazing. It's just not my preferred style, I guess. And now I think I'm going to start on Hag-Seed by Margaret Atwood. This is a retelling of The Tempest. And I read The Tempest late last year, so it's, I want to say that it's fresh in my mind. It's not really, just because it's a play that I've never seen. I vaguely remember it, but I'm not super familiar with the text. What I want to do before I get to this one is read the essay in the Theater of Envy that is about The Tempest, and actually I already started doing it. They'll take suggestion as a cat laps milk self-satire in The Tempest, and it's already mind-blowing. It sort of talks about how Prospero is Shakespeare and Caliban is Shakespeare's raw talent. It says Prospero teaching Caliban how to speak is Shakespeare himself transforming into actual poems and plays the still non-verbal poetic inspiration that he owes to Caliban. In the omnipotent magician breaking his own staff at the conclusion, we recognize the playwright himself announcing his decision to give up the theater. What? Hello, good morning. We did finish The Tragedy of Macbeth and I really appreciate this movie. It was done very well. It's just not my style. Oh, I started reading Hag-Seed, and I'm really enjoying it. The only other Margaret Atwood that I've ever read was the Penelopiad, and I loved that book so much. Now reading this, I'm remembering, oh, this is how she writes. It's very sharp. She writes from the perspective of characters who really know what they want and who they are and everything they think and they know. It's very sure. This follows Felix, who used to be an artistic director at a theater festival in the city for many years now. He was giving more like organizational, administrative tasks to his partner Tony. Lo and behold, Tony usurps him. Can I use that word that way? Felix gets voted out and Tony takes his place, and Felix kind of decides to lay low for a while, and the only thing he cares about is vengeance and to put on The Tempest, the play that he was planning to put up when he got fired. And where I'm reading right now, the end of part 1, he got recruited as a teacher for the literacy through literature course at the correctional facility, and he's teaching them Shakespeare, and they're putting up plays. His teaching program that it's explained is kind of genius, and I really like it, and I kind of want to take part in it as well. It hasn't happened yet, but I know from the blurb that he will do a Tempest production with them, and I wonder how the vengeance part will happen. Oh, and Felix also had a daughter called Miranda that died when she was 3 years old, and he can't really let her go. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Hello, it's the 12th of April. I'm more than halfway done with this book now. I have less than 100 pages. I think I have like 80 pages left, and I'm really enjoying it still. Things are like happening. The things that we were waiting to happen all book are finally happening, so I do find that it's very easy to read and the action moves fast, but I noticed that I put down this book a lot instead of reading it all the way through, because I definitely could do that. The chapters are pretty short. It's not a big book. It looks big, but the the pages are very thick and the font is pretty big. But it's almost like I want to delay what's happening next, or I want to be in that space a little longer, which is a big contrast to how I read the retelling of Macbeth that I read so fast because I was not enjoying it, and this I'm taking my time with it because I like it so much.
A car's coming, I stop you. You know I always got you. You know I always got you. Push you to the side, even if it means like.
Hello, I finished Hag-Seed. I actually finished it like 2 days ago. I couldn't find the time to update you, so I'm doing it now. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. First of all, I realized that The Tempest is not my favorite play by Shakespeare. Out of the others that I'm familiar with, this one just lacks something for me personally. It's just a separate realization that I had. I really like the way this book is done. So Felix, our main character, is putting up the play The Tempest in a correctional facility with the inmates playing the actors and him playing Prospero. And ultimately The Tempest is a play with a play within it. The main character is preparing for a show that he puts up in the last act. So if you really think about it, we have a play within a play within a play within a play in this book, which is wild that she did that, but she did it and it was amazing. I really liked how Felix's story, the main story of this book, is basically the play. It's what happened in The Tempest, and he's also working on The Tempest, so he's working with the characters and the themes and analyzing scenes and the plot and motivations behind all the behaviors and all of that. He both realizes that it's happening in his life and he doesn't at the same time. The fact that it never fully went into him being completely oblivious to how the Tempest is his life, and it at the same time never fully went into him fully understanding the connection and using that connection for whatever he wants to do. That balance, that perfect balance of his awareness, and that perfect balance is what keeps this book together, and I applaud her for doing it. And now I don't know what to read. While I was reading all the books that I was telling you about, I've been also reading a book for a buddy read that I'm doing with my friend Vanya. It's The Miracles of the Namiya General Store. It's by a Japanese author, and we're halfway done with it. I really like it. This one reads very fast and easy, and the characters are very entertaining, and I really highly recommend it. It's very good. Otherwise, these past few days, I've been reading Speaking Shakespeare by Patsy Rodenberg. A lot of it is things that I've encountered in my own training, things that I do in my job with my students as well, and some exercises here are similar to the ones that I'm used to, but they're a little different. I take a lot of notes. Reading Shakespeare this month, I might as well go back to this book and read other parts that I've not read before and just go in and out of it. And the next book I'm reading is Julius Caesar. I started reading Act 1, Scene 1 today, but I actually got a little stuck because in the very first scene there is a tiny monologue by Marillus, which is the very first piece of Shakespeare that I ever worked on, and it was part of our Shakespeare training, and we spend so much time on it, so much time on it, that when I saw it I just had like a flood of emotion connected to it. So I was a little stuck, but I need to go on. Julius Caesar has another monologue that I used a lot in auditions when I was auditioning in New York. I actually auditioned for a production of Macbeth with the Portia monologue from Julius Caesar. So all of these plays are bringing up memories and stuff. Another pop song that is weirdly connected to Shakespeare in my head. I actually initially connected it to Julius Caesar, but after watching a production of The Tempest and reading Hag-Seed, it actually works well with both of those plays, and that is Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift. And the reason why I associated with Julius Caesar was because in the music video, one of the scenes in the music video, she's like in a throne room and she's sitting on a throne, and if you look super closely, if you actually like go into all the details around her, it's like in the decoration of the throne room, it has that famous line from Julius Caesar. I was so happy just because it was like a little Shakespeare connection that made me really happy. But that song is about betrayal and vengeance, and so The Tempest actually works also very well with that song, because The Tempest, it's all about wanting revenge.
I don't like your little game, don't like your tilted stage, the role you made me play of the fool. No, I don't like you. I don't like your perfect crime, how you laugh when you lie. You said the gun was mine, isn't cool. No, I don't like you. But I get smarter, I get harder in the nick of time. Honey, I rose up from the dead, I do it all the time. I got a list of names and yours is in red underline. I check it once, then I check it twice. Oh, look what you made me do, look what you made me do, look what you just made me do, look what you just made me. Oh, look what you made me do, look what you made me do. What you just made me do, look what you just made me do.
Hello from my bed. It's the 20th of April. I cannot move. My legs hurt so much. I've been walking a lot these past few days. I always track how many steps I take every day, and it's been about 1,700 every, like my legs just, they keep pulsing, and I just, I freaking love Julius Caesar. I mean, listen, I enjoy all Shakespeare. Shakespeare is awesome, but Julius Caesar, it's probably, I really hesitate to name anything my favorite. I don't know why, I have commitment issues. Yes, I just feel so many emotions, and this is why it's taking me so long to read it. I've been reading it for like a week now. I just have to take so many breaks because I feel so many emotions, and I have to tell everyone about it. I've been telling people about this play. Everyone, all my students have heard about Julius Caesar by now. I'm challenging myself to stop stopping and just go finish the play. Just finish it. You can do it. You can reread it if you like it so much, but just finish it, please. Also, it's Easter this Sunday, and tomorrow I will be coloring the eggs, which is my duty every year. I found a vlog from last year when I read Russian classics that was in May, and because Easter was in May last year, and in that video you can see me coloring the eggs. I'm gonna do that again this year. It's gotten really warm and nice outside. Spring is here.
I wouldn't hesitate about it, wouldn't even think about it. Sign I really love ya. Push it to the sky, even if it means that I die. Wouldn't hesitate about it, wouldn't even think about it. Sign I really love ya. Wheels in your hands, I guess we need a new plan.
I finished Julius Caesar that day that you saw me talk about it, and I did not update you because I was processing. It was amazing. If I could give more than 5 stars, I'd give it more than 5 stars. Since I finished this one, I picked up my Theater of Envy book. Finally started reading the chapters, the articles that are about Julius Caesar. There are 5 in total, and I read 3 so far, which I really enjoyed. There is like 10% of the articles go over my head a little bit, just a little bit. I do think that all of these articles can be read separately, not in the order of the book, but he does sometimes talk about how, oh, like we already discussed in that other chapter. I've so far read mimetic seduction in Julius Caesar, violent polarization in Julius Caesar, the founding murder in Julius Caesar, and I have sacrifice and sacrificial cycles in Julius Caesar left. Such interesting insights, things that I've not even considered, things that I kind of glimpsed when I was reading it. If you're interested in like human behavior and anthropology, this book is for you. He talks a lot about how Julius Caesar, there's so much conversation about the political part of the play, and what does Shakespeare think himself, what part of the conflict is he on, and Renee Girard is like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because that's not what the play is about. The play is about people and what they do in a crisis, and how they behave, how they form, how the conspiracy is formed, and what happens, and who becomes the villain, who becomes the hero. And it's so fascinating and it's so interesting. Highly recommend. I think I'm gonna finish the articles for Julius Caesar today, and I have 1 chapter left of the Magic of the Namiya General Store, and the plan is to finish that book tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow. So Vanya and I, this is our buddy read book. We can finally watch the movie and have a discussion. We are thinking of doing a live discussion in May of that book and talking about the book versus the movie and all of that. That's all I have to say.
There's a motel a mile down the road. understand. Back then, still looking for trifling.